And a good morning to everybody on a Monday morning and a very foggy, cloudy day in New York City. But nonetheless, welcome to Morning Coffee with Marcaida. So, one of the things I want to do, I was pondering this morning, is the phrase that people say, it's all about training. Practice makes perfect. So let me tell you a story when I first learned that. Practice makes perfect, and then I was corrected by my teacher who said, nope, perfect practice makes perfect. And in Filipino martial arts, what makes it perfect? Put a knife in your hand. That perfects everything that you do. So everything that you do with your empty hands, let's do the training with a weapon, and that self-corrects everything because the blade does not lie. Great story. To think that I have to put a weapon there to change things. But then let's talk about the idea of how this actually works. Why do you need a perfect practice? Because he goes, if you're practicing something wrong, you're developing bad habits. So now you may be training a bad habit. So if you think about it that way, in the beginning, that's what I believed. So I was training stuff, and I changed it because I had to do it the perfect way, perfect practice, so I don't practice bad habits. But in hindsight, going back to that, I started to realize that it's all about understanding. When they say perfect practice, that to me now, at this stage, means that you've mastered the understanding of what you were learning, not necessarily what you were doing or following. What does that mean? Well, for example, they say some movements in the Filipino martial arts, they call this the fan strike, a witik, right? With a stick, it makes sense. With a blade, it doesn't make sense to slap with the side of the blade. But why not? You see, now the understanding is there. Sometimes, they say always use the cutting edge of the blade, just like that. So that's perfect practice because now when I'm hitting and striking with my hand, I'm using the bladed side, not the back side where you would hit with the flat of the blade. So that's where you develop a bad habit. But in understanding, sometimes using the edge is not preferable when all I have to do is use the side of the blade and then go straight in for the edge. You never know what's going to work. So when they say perfect practice, to me it means you are perfecting the understanding of that practice. Because if all we say is it's done this way perfectly so you don't develop the bad habits, those bad habits is just a different understanding of what's going on. If that all makes sense, right? So sometimes you do this so that you understand it, and then it moves on to other things. And that to me is what perfect practice is. It's a better understanding of what you already know. Because if you strive to say, this is the only way it's done, you've boxed yourself in. You're boxed into that one mentality, and you don't learn anything else because this is the way it's done. You don't want to develop those bad habits. Instead, this is one way that you know. This is another way how to do it. This is another way how to do it. And you learn from each particular component of that one particular thing. Whether it's bad habits or not, it may be bad habit because at that stage in your life, you're not supposed to move that way. But another stage in your life, you may have to go back to that and move exactly that same way. Everything revolves. So, going back to that, perfect practice, well, think about it this way. I think the perfect thing is perfect understanding. At the same time, just practice. So maybe the habit of always practicing is the perfect way to go about it. Doug Marcaida here. Morning Cup of Joe. Everybody take care. Have a good weekend or week.